Hi everyone, I'm Lori Whitlock. Welcome today to our Mother's Day class. I am broadcasting live from the Silhouette headquarters in conjunction with Michael's, and I'm so excited to be here with you. And we are going to make this really adorable, beautiful set. Oh, I should probably leave it down here. Beautiful set, Mother's Day card and little favor box. These look kind of intimidating because there's a lot of pieces, but if you'll notice, everything is made out of solid colored cardstock. And I used just solid colors that I found at Michael's. So cutting all of these pieces on your silhouette is going to make this quite simple. But yeah, it's a beautiful project that looks like it's more complicated than it actually is. I think you're going to have fun making this, and I think your mom is going to love getting it for Mother's Day. And the fun thing about this little box is you can put little favors inside, little treats, so or a little gift, something like that. So I think, oh, also let me show you the back of this. We've got a little phrase that says, "Mom, if I had a flower for every time you made me smile, I'd have to have a garden to walk in forever." So I don't think you saw that on the file, but you'll see it now when you download it. So let me show you first off where to download the file. And while we're waiting for people to come in, I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. Share screen. And if you'll go to the Silhouette online store, Silhouette Design Store, you're going to see in my portfolio. So if you go to Artists and scroll down to Lori Whitlock, I've got mine starred up here at the top, but if you scroll all the way down and find Lori Whitlock and then click on my logo, then you'll see the top two projects that have been uploaded to my portfolio are free right now. And you just click on those. Design number 407001 is the little watering can with the Mother's Day flowers there. And the other one is this 5x7 box card Mother's Day flower cart, and it's 407002. So make sure you go out there and grab those files for free today for this class and bring those up in Silhouette Studio so we can get going. So Mother's Day is in, let's see, a week and a half. So it's time to get these cute projects going so we can get them mailed. And just so you know, this card does fit in a 5x7 envelope. So you can pop that in the mail and send it off to mom. So where's everybody joining from? Let's get going in the chat just a little bit here. I'd love to hear where everybody's from while we get everybody into the classroom. And New Jersey, Cedar Hills, Utah, Florida, New York, California, Texas. That's awesome. Wisconsin, Phoenix, Alabama. Welcome everybody. We've got a lot of people here. I'm so excited. So are you guys paper crafters with your silhouette? Are you experienced, or do we have a lot of newbies? Say experienced or newbies. We've got some experience, good, lot of newbie, we've experienced intermediate. So we've got a little bit of everything. So that's perfect. So just a little introduction to who I am. I'm going to share my screen again with you. I have been designing for Silhouette for, well, since 2009. So I've got a portfolio of about 10,000, almost 200 files. Got lots of cute paper projects, similar, not all similar, but lots of cards, boxes, 3D paper crafting projects in the Silhouette store. And if you love these projects, if you want more, you can go visit my YouTube channel. I've got a channel, just youtube.com/Lori Whitlock. You can go and get more tutorials. I'll just click on the uploads. You can just see there's lots of tutorials. So if I do a particular card style, like the French door easel card, you'll probably find multiple different designs in this design store that are French door easel cards. And this tutorial will help you put all of them together. So same with the box card we're making today. Once you get that box card concept down, you'll understand how to make a lot of my different box cards. So that's a great resource for you. And that kind of gives you an introduction to my Silhouette portfolio. And then I also have a blog, and we focus on a little new project every day or new files of the week. You can also subscribe to our email list if you'd like to get information in your email box about all of our new projects each week. So for those of you who have joined a little bit late, just make sure you go to my portfolio and download these 2 projects here. They're at the very top of my library. So hopefully you can find those, and we'll go ahead and get started. So you'll want to launch Silhouette Studio. I've got to move a few things out of my way here. And let's go ahead and just bring up the project. So I've gone ahead and organized mine in a little folder here for Mother's Day off to the side. And I'm just going to double click on that flower cart and bring it in. And I'm also going to open another new page and go back to my library and open up the watering can. So these are the 2 projects. And I'm actually just going to grab that watering can and Command C and then go back over to the other project and just move off to the side and Command V and pull those all into one big file. And since I was cutting vinyl last, I have it set up for no mat. So I'm just going to go over here to my cutting mat and change that to a CAMEO 12 by 12 because that's what I'm going to be cutting on today. Of course, if you're using a portrait, you'll want to choose your portrait cutting mat. And then since there's a lot of the same colors in these 2 files, we can go ahead and set this up to cut all of the pieces at once. So you can just go ahead and move pieces around on your screen and just gather them in color area, and all the brown pieces in one area and all the pink pieces in one area, and we'll get all ready to cut. And then I've also got some print and cut pieces in this file. You'll see the fresh flowers, the Happy Mother's Day, Mom, if I had flowers for every time you made me smile, that little phrase, and the little white flowers. And I'm just going to take everything that's white, even if it doesn't have a print and cut, and go ahead and pull it together. And that's kind of a little tip for you. If you're going to be printing and cutting on a white paper or cardstock, you can go ahead and put all the white pieces that don't have print on them together on that same mat, because then you can just cut it all in one pass and you don't have to load white and then load your print and cut separately. And you'll kind of see what I'm talking about when we send that here in just a little bit. But go ahead and grab all those white pieces and put them together. Oh, so you notice how this little flower bunch is all moving together. I'm just going to right click that and ungroup it. Let's see, right click and ungroup. Oh, so I'm on a laptop right now, but you'd want to go ahead and ungroup those pieces and pull up the white pieces. On my laptop, it changes to a transfer properties. So just going to pull all these colors into their sections. You can see the yellow pieces are grouped together. You can leave them grouped, or you can ungroup them and move them closer if you would like. So I'm actually going to switch over to a different file where I've already kind of sorted these out, but I just wanted you to get a feel for how I did that. Seems like a lot of pieces, but it's really not too bad once you get going. And I'm just going to stack these black pieces inside the wheel because that's just wasted space. Command G to group those together. And one more little yellow dot there. So you can kind of see how we're pulling all the colors together. And I've got in this file right here, right here. So I've already got this one kind of set up, and I'm going to cut pieces of cardstock to load on my mat that will fit these shapes. So this is 3 inches tall. I'll kind of zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. This is 3 inches tall by 5 inches wide. So on my physical mat, I'm going to load a piece of hot pink paper in this left-hand corner that will fit all those pieces on it. And then up in this right-hand corner, I'm going to load a piece of yellow that's like at least 1 inch by 3.5 inches wide or so. And then down in the bottom, we'll put a green piece that's at least 1, 2, 3 inches tall by 4 inches wide. And then down here in the bottom, we've got pink, and we're just going to cut those pieces over there. And then we'll do our print and cut piece. And you'll need to transition to all these other colors. So your teal and gray And I'm not going to cut all of those out together, but just make sure that you're getting everything cut out. And you can put multiple colors on in one pass like we're going to do right now. So at this point, once you get those sorted out and ready to cut, you're going to go ahead and click send. And just make sure that all the cut lines look right, which they do. And then you're going to set your machine up for the type of cardstock that you're cutting. And I'm just going to go ahead and use this textured heavy 80-pound cardstock setting. And I'm going to just bump my speed up just a little bit because I don't want it to take forever. And then I'm going to go over to my physical mat. And I'm going to go ahead and load that in my machine. Now my roller bar, my little wheel needs to be moved over because we were cutting a smaller media size earlier. Make sure that the width of that is 12 inches for your 12-inch mat. And then like I had set up inside my file, I've got my hot pink, my yellow, my green, and my pink. I love cutting multiple passes in one pass, multiple colors in one pass, because it just saves time. And it looks like my wheel, my roller isn't far enough over yet. So make sure that you get it all the way to the right groove. So right there, that looks right. And then I'm just gonna make sure it's fully unloaded and then line it up here with the gray line here on the left, the double arrows, and then feed that in. Now I'm using a CAMEO 4. Yours could look just a little bit different if you have an older model, but this will show you exactly how the CAMEO 4 is working. And I'm just going to move my extra paper out of the way here, go back over to my screen and back into the software. And we're just going to go ahead and hit, I've got everything set up right. Everything looks right to me. So we're going to go ahead and hit send. Now the machine's going to go ahead and cut out all those pieces for us. So if for some reason you missed this video live, or you miss some of the steps in here and you need to go back and watch, this video will be on the Michaels YouTube channel for you to watch later, probably within 24 to 48 hours. So you can always go back and reference this in case you need to see something again. Also, just so you know, there's another Mother's Day card coming up next week. It's a premium class with Michaels. It's a class by Kelly Wayment, and it's a really cute card. She's going to teach you some new fun techniques in that card. So be sure you go and sign up for that as well. Okay, it's over there cutting our green pieces right now. And the one thing that I'll tell you before you unload your mat, make sure that you check to make sure that your pieces are all cut all the way through, because if you don't unload it, you can always send it again. That's sure. In the software, how did I get the grid to show up? So let's go ahead and unload our mat real quick here, and then I'll take you back in the software and show you that. Okay, like I said, before you hit that unload button, double check that things are cut out nicely. If they're cut out and you're happy with that, then you can go ahead and unload it. If you don't feel like it's cut cleanly, just depending on the blade you have or the settings you're using, the cardstock you're using, if it's not clean, you can go back into the software and resend this. This is looking pretty good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and unload that. But you should be getting good clean cuts on your cardstock from your machine. If you're not, be sure you're using a new blade or a fairly fresh blade. Or if it's not cutting cleanly at all for you, make sure you're also, if you need to up the pressure a little bit, you can always go back in and do that. You can also make the blade depth just a little bit more if you need to. So this is looking good and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into the software real quick, and I'm going to show you how I got the grid on. Okay, so back into Silhouette Studio. Back to the design tab. So if you look on your, I'll just go ahead and shut this window so you can see where I opened it from. Up here at the top, your little icon, it's your open the page setup panel. Go ahead and click that. And inside of here, let's go to the second tab over. You can turn on and off, show grid. You can also, I've got something in my way here. You can also show your, let's see, I've got Zoom windows in my way here real quick. You can show, let's see, you can also, where's your transparency setting? Let's see, I thought it was on this front. Am I missing it? Should say, there it is, right here. I just couldn't see it. So you can have that grid be more transparent or less transparent by just sliding that transparency over. And then you can turn that grid on and off. So you can have a completely white screen. You can show your grid. You can go back to that first tab and change the transparency if you just want to see the inch marks or if you want to see all the way down to the 1/4 inch mark. So that really helps when you're trying to plan how big to cut your squares of paper or your rectangles to put in all the corners. Okay, does that answer that question okay?
We have one more question. Somebody asked if you can show your cut settings.
Okay, so the cut settings I used for this Michael's cardstock that I'm using, which I'm thinking is about a 65-pound cardstock, is the textured heavy 80-pound cardstock setting. And I'm using a blade depth of 3, a force of 30, and I bumped the speed up. The original speed was about 4, but I bumped it up to a 12 just so it would go a little faster for our video. That I would say that on this cardstock with the blade that I'm using, I could have probably bumped the force up just maybe to 33 just to get a little crisper cut, but it cut it really well. But I noticed a couple spots where it could have been ever so slightly cleaner. So don't be afraid to play around with the settings just a little bit if you feel like you need to. And if you're using an 80-pound cardstock, I'd highly recommend going up to a 4. I typically use that. And again, it also depends on how new your blade is. If you've got a brand new blade, typically the factory settings work perfectly for your different media. But if your blade's a little bit used, then you might need to bump your blade depth up a little or change your force to be a little deeper. So hopefully that helps. Just don't be afraid of those settings. Just test it. And if it works, if it doesn't, change them just a little bit. Okay, so let's go back to our project and all of our pieces that are cut out. And we'll start assembling our card. Sure.
Somebody said, how did you separate the pink awning?
Okay, so let's go back to the original file. So this pink awning all comes in pieces like this. I just pulled it away. It is grouped together, and if you want to push those closer together to save some space when you're cutting, all you need to do is ungroup them. So there's a little short key up here. When I'm on my laptop, if I use my command key, it changes to transfer properties. So I'm having trouble moving that. Why can't I move that? Okay, well, there's a button up here I can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't get to it because it's under the Zoom little thing, but there's a ungroup button here. And so you could ungroup those pieces and move those closer together if you would like to. Sorry about that. I have a Zoom, because I'm doing this live on Zoom, I've got some things up here I can't get to. Maybe I can look at it from far away. Okay, anyways, you can ungroup those pieces and move them closer together. Hopefully that answers your question on how to pull that out separate. Any other questions while I'm in the software? Okay. While we're waiting, feel free to ask me any questions as we go. I'm going to go ahead and set my computer off to the side and set up on the table for assembling this card. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all my pieces set up here. There will be quite a few pieces for this card, but I think it's completely worth it because it's
Are we gonna cover
so
the
cute.
printing cut element later in the
Oh,
class?
yeah, actually, that's a really good question. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me just move my pieces off to the side. I'll go back into the software and we'll go ahead and do that print and cut piece. So gather all your white pieces up onto one mat. And on my screen here, you can see that I've got it all set up with registration marks. So let me show you how I did that. So you're going to go to your page setup again, and that third tab over. You want to make sure you turn your registration marks on right here. Just make sure that's checked. Typically they're off. Just make sure they're on. Okay. In that first tab of the page setup window, you'll want to make sure you have your media size set up to the right size for your printer. I have an 8.5 by 11 printer, so I went ahead and set that to 8.5 by 11. And then that's, if you don't have it set up at 8.5 by 11, it's typically 12 by 12 like this. So change that to 8.5 by 11. And then make sure those registration marks are on. And then you literally, all you have to do is hit print and send that page to your printer.
Lori, can you describe what registration marks are?
Okay, so you'll notice on this page here where I hit send to printer, there's a square in the upper left-hand corner, and there's a right angle over here on the right-hand side, and there's another angle on the left-hand side at the bottom. Those are black marks that your printer is going to print. And when you load this paper onto your cutting mat and feed it into the machine, and then you hit send, when those registration marks are on, your machine is going to know to go find those. So it's going to take its little optical eye and go over and locate this one, then over here and locate this one, and then down here, locate this one. And then it's going to know precisely where to cut. So if you go back to our original sheet here, you're going to see those shapes. It's going to know to cut all those flowers. It's going to know to cut around each of these label shapes and this shape here. So go ahead and print that out.
One other question about that. Chris said, can I change the message printed, like make it for grandma or something?
Sure. If you're interested in changing, the question is, can I change the message to say grandma or something else? You certainly can. So right here, you would just ungroup the pieces, delete this phrase off of it, and then type what you want to put on there, and then go ahead and print it with your message that you've written on this shape. Just make sure that if you want it to say Happy Grandmother's Day, just make sure it fits within that little rectangle shape. If it hangs off the edges, it'll get cut off. If you want this to say Best Grandma Ever, you can replace that. Yeah, so you just ungroup it and move that phrase off. You can ungroup, and if you need to get to just the word mom, you might need to release the compound path and get rid of mom, and then take best and ever and redo the compound path, and then replace just the word grandma, or you can just replace the whole phrase. That might even just be easier. Okay, so once you,
One other question, Lori.
okay.
So I think, I'm not for sure, but I think somebody's asking about decreasing the registration mark size.
So there is some options to change the registration mark size. I don't want to mess with it in this file because that's my sample is already printed with that, but let me just set up a new one over here. So you can turn on your 8.5 by 11 size and then turn on those registration marks. And you can change the length of those, make them smaller and shorter. You can change the thickness of them. If you are ever having any issues, you can always hit restore default so that it just goes back to the factory settings. You can inset them so they come in farther. If you're having any issues at all, I highly recommend you just use those factory settings. But if you're really, trying to save paper, you can play around with those. If it works for you, great. If you're having any issues, go back to factory settings. That's my recommendation. I've had luck pulling those registration marks up, or making them, let's see, advanced options. You can even pull like the bottom up so you don't use as much paper. I've had luck doing that. It's worked just fine for me, but I've also seen people have issues with that. like their machine's just having trouble locating them. So that would be my recommendation. If you have any issues at all, just restore defaults. Okay, any other questions before we move on? Okay, so once you have your print and cut printed, I'm going to zoom out so you can see how that looks on the page. You're going to want to see your whole mat there. So you'll notice how this is in the upper left-hand corner of our virtual mat. We'll want to make sure that we load our paper onto the upper left-hand corner of our physical mat as well. So I'll grab my print. And I get my mat here. Stop my screen share so you can see. I'm just going to take my mat and I'm going to take my print and just load that in the upper left-hand corner, just like it was on my virtual mat. And then you're going to take that and just load it into your machine. Okay, once it's in your machine, we'll go back to sharing the screen here. And then you can just go to send. Again, you'll want to make sure you're set up for the correct media. And if for some reason it's trying to cut out every little letter and you're seeing red outlines on all the letters, make sure you select all your pieces and choose cut edge. See this cut edge option right here? That's really important because if you cut all, I'm not going to click it because it'll take it a minute, but it'll try to cut around every letter and you definitely wouldn't want to do that. So we've got the same settings we had before. I'm going to go ahead and bump up that force just to 33 there and change the speed to around 12 or 13, 14 is great. And go ahead and hit send. And now the machine is going to go and read those optical eyes that we were talking with. Its optical eye, it's going to go read those registration marks. Let's move those out of the way. So once it's located those, then it'll set the blade depth and then it'll proceed to cut out all those pieces. You can kind of look in there closely and just make sure it's working right. If it's working right, just let it go. And if you'll remember, we put on some pieces that didn't have any print and cut on them. Like right now it's cutting out the little roof, the white roof. So that's just a way to save some paper. Okay, does anybody have any other questions about print and cut? Okay, so I was going to show you as soon as we start assembling this, I put some optional extra panels just for like making it a little bit more sturdy. If you don't use the optional panels, you probably just need 2 pieces. If you do want those optional panels, you probably need 3. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. If you'll notice, there's a front and a back panel that you can cut to make it extra sturdy if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay, so let me show you really quick. Every now and then with print and cut, it does want to print that outline. So what you need to do is select, let me share my screen again with you. So the question is, somebody said their printer was printing the outline on their print and cut. So you'll want to go select all those pieces and then just choose white or none for the outline, or sometimes you have to press white and then you press none, and then that will get rid of all those outlines. I have had red lines print in the past too. They shouldn't do that, but if they do, just make sure you turn those off before you print.
One more, somebody asked, can you show where to load the mat on the machine, like where to line it up?
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my computer screen. We're going to go over to the CAMEO, and it looks like our print and cut is all done. And right here, you'll notice the mat is lined up right against that gray line with the double arrows. So just make sure that's where yours is. If you're using an older model, it might look a little bit different. It might not have the gray line there, but you'll notice the wheel is right here. It's the line just left of that wheel. So make sure that you're lining it up with that. So now we have our print and cut, everything's all cut out. And I've got those already sorted out here on my desk. So I'm not going to unload those from the mat right now.
And then can you repeat the outline part one more time?
Okay, sure. Somebody's asking to repeat that outline part so that they don't print out. So in Silhouette Studio, and I can even just show you from the beginning here. Let's grab like fresh flowers. I'm going to copy that into just a new document. Oh, well, okay, we'll use this one. I'm going to ungroup and delete, and I'm going to rotate this around so it's the right orientation. We'll zoom in a little bit. You'll notice how it looks like a red line. The printer is not supposed to print that red line, but every now and then it does. So let's turn it like it's a print and cut. Get it on the right size paper and everything. Yeah, letter. So you'd want to make sure you place everything inside those gray crosshatch marks and don't put anything anywhere near those black registration marks. So just make sure your artwork is inside of that, just in the clean white area. Maybe if I turn my grid down, that might help you see that as well. But see that red line that's really faint? Sometimes that prints for people. So go ahead and select that piece. And then sometimes when I press the no line, it doesn't disappear. So I have to do white and then none, but this time it worked. So you don't see the line now, and that's what you want when you hit print. So go ahead and print that out. It won't show the red line. If you see the red line on this preview, it's going to print the red line. So if you see it, you can go back, hit cancel, and then make sure you turn it off. And then when you go to hit send, you'll see that everything is turning red. You don't want to cut it like that. So make sure you select it. Some people forget to select it. If you don't have it selected, changing these settings won't matter. You have to select it. You can see that gray line that's around that. Make sure you select it and then hit cut edge. And that will just cut out that trapezoid shape instead of all those letters inside. And then you would hit send and your machine would cut out that shape. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies that. So we'll go ahead, and if there's no more questions in the software, and if there are, we can always go back in later, but I'm going to go ahead and stop that share and we'll go and assemble our project. Okay. Okay. Let's get all of our brown pieces together. This is going to form our card base. So like I mentioned earlier, these two pieces right here are kind of just extra layers to add some rigidity to your card if you want. That being said, the sample that I made here does not have those. So it's a little, you can see that there's just a little bit of give here. Depending on the thickness of your cardstock, you may or may not want to cut those. If you're cutting it out of a nice heavy 80-pound, you might not need to cut those. So I did include them in the file for you so that you have them in case you do want to make your card a little bit sturdier. That I'm just going to go ahead and set those off to the side. If you wanted to put those on, go ahead and glue those down right now. This is the time to do it. Just line those up with the front and the back and glue those down. I'm not going to do that just to save a little time and to show you that it works without them. But I did want to make sure you had those in case you wanted your card to be sturdier. You'll notice that there's some score lines here. Go ahead and fold on those score lines. And I like to use a bone folder just to get a good crease on those. One of the key tips about paper crafting is to make sure you get nice creases on your folds. You want it to turn out like a nice crisp card and not kind of wonky. So make sure you get good folds on those. And you can see that that glue tab just wraps right around and glues right down. And since you want your card to lay flat when you're done, you'll want to make sure that you glue it flat. So I'm just going to grab some tape runner. I'm going to flip it over so I can get to that glue tab right here and just glue that down. And this other piece right here, is going to be our box card insert. So my box cards are all put together the same way. They have a wrap or a base like this, and then an insert. Let's see, this one's the insert. Sorry about that. This is the insert. This is going to be a little brace for the top of the card right up in here. And that's just going to make sure that the top stays spaced out properly and that they don't lean forward and back. So that's this piece here. So this is going to be our insert, and we'll need to put all the flowers on that before we put it in. And if just for reference, I'm going to set the already assembled card right here so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to put together this little insert piece right in here. So it's going to glue in between those layers and create a 3D effect. So those two tabs are going to fold back, and then I'm just going to lay them flat for right now so that we can go ahead and put our flowers on there. So our pieces for that are right here. And you have this large green background piece, and that's just going to glue right on top of that shape there. Isn't that nice? The machine does such a beautiful job of cutting everything out perfectly for us. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of that green piece. And then I'm going to grab my little pick-me-up tool because some of these pieces are hard to grab, but I love this little tool. It's a silhouette tool, works awesome when you're doing paper crafting with smaller pieces. I highly recommend adding one of those to your tools. So handy. Some of these pieces are so small that I also recommend maybe a pair of glasses. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. I hate to admit it, but my eyes are getting to be where I need those. So then I'm going to grab this little yellow flower. Just a little glue goes a long ways. You'll notice that when you're paper crafting, you don't want to use too much glue.
Lori, what kind of glue are you using?
Okay, so if you'll visit my blog, loriwhitlock.com, and go to the little shop, or let's see, the Lori's favorites tab, you'll find some of my favorite paper crafting items, but this is, it's a Scotch quick dry glue, and it's just a little needle nose fine tip glue bottle. You'll find links to both of those there. There's also other options. These type of pen glue bottles that work quite well too. I think you can get some of those at Michael's. Yeah, so I do like something with a fine tip when you're doing fine paper crafting like this. It's super helpful. So I'm just going to grab this large flower and put a little glue on the back of that. Yeah, like I was mentioning, don't over glue because then you'll just end up with kind of a glue mess. And just rotate that till it fits. You should be able to see, like right here, these petals fall right into place. And the best part is the green leaves poke from behind and are in the right spots. And you'll notice I've already put the centers of those flowers in place. So that's super helpful to get those glued on before you get started. And then let's see, got to rotate that around. Okay. And we need another little white flower just below that. You probably will want to look at the image in the design store or on this video just to make sure you get all the flowers in all the right places. The image is super helpful when you're putting together these more complicated projects, but they look complicated, but they're really not too bad. Okay, I'm going to flip those right side up so when I grab them, I can get to the back side for adhesive. And oops. And the other end of this tool has a little flat edge, which is nice for pushing things around when you need to. And that completes our little center insert piece. It looks like I might be missing one flower, but that's okay. It still looks finished without it. I'm not sure where that little guy went. But now you can go ahead and put that insert in. So I'm going to put adhesive down these two sides on these two tabs. And you're just going to take that and put it between those layers and push those tabs all the way to the back of the card. And then make it flush across the top. This is probably the trickiest part of putting the card together. Okay, and then what I like to do is roll the card flat because I know if it'll go together flat when it's gluing, it'll go together, it'll lay flat to go in my envelope. So there we have it. Let's see. Yeah, it's getting hung up right here. There we go. Okay, so that's our insert in there. Now we just need to put together our front flowers and our top piece, and then we'll just keep putting all these pieces on. Let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and put this top brace in while we're here. This just has 4 score lines on it. And we'll put some adhesive on that glue tab. And what I like to do to get this in place is just go ahead and put adhesive on one of those rectangle sides. Don't get it on these 2 ends, just on this rectangle piece. And then put it in the center. It might be easier just to flip it over, put it in the center. Make sure it's not hanging down below those scallops. And then once again, I like to roll this card flat. And then we're going to glue that down flat. So pull that up, put that adhesive just on that rectangle side. Try not to put a permanent crease on this back panel here. Okay, so just lay that down flat and then just push everything down flat and your card will lay flat. And then it'll roll up and be your nice 3D form. And it's a pretty sturdy little project. I love this, so cute. So now we're gonna put on our little top piece. Here's our panel for the back. I've got a couple of those. We've got our fresh cut flowers. We're going to glue in here. And our Happy Mother's Day, we'll glue down here. So we'll go ahead and put our adhesive on the back of this scalloped piece. Maybe easier to put those red stripes on before you attach it to your card, but either way will work. And then the red stripes, just need to make sure you get them all oriented correctly. So let's kind of follow our pattern here. Kind of the straighter ones go towards the middle. And our most curved, kinky ones go off to the sides. And then the other ones go in between. So that's our order right there. And then we're just going to place them across here. So we'll pick those up with our pick me up tool, put a little adhesive on them and glue them down. Does anybody have any questions for me while we're assembling? Okay. All right. 3 more to go. Just line those up, but these are pretty easy to place with those scallops there at the bottom to kind of guide you. And our last one right there. Now we'll go ahead and put our sentiments on. And our Happy Mother's Day. Actually, I'm going to do that one after we put our flowers on so we don't get it in the way. But let's go ahead and get this top one on. That's going to go right up in here. Get a little bit of the gummy on this right there. Just pull that back off. Okay, now for the front little flower bundle. Again, it's similar to that center section. Just make sure you get it oriented the right way. And that's the correct orientation right there. So you have this little white flower off to the right-hand side and this very intricate one on the left. Let me go ahead and just put a little glue down there. And this one, you're going to have to, again, rotate till you get it in the right orientation. So right there. Oh, that's not quite right either. Might take a minute. Sorry about that, guys. All right. There we go. That's the right way. And then we've got our pink one. There we go. And then our blue one, and then we're done with that. And then we just need to, oh, we need to layer our blue together. Sorry about that. So just make sure you get that in the right orientation, know which direction you're headed with it. I think that looks right to me. Oops. Okay, I'm moving just a little bit faster. You can take your time and add more glue to that. But I think that center dot will hold it pretty well. And there we've got our little flower bundle all done. And now we just need to glue it right here. So I'm just going to add some glue to the bottom edge here. Darn glue bottle almost got away from me. Right there. So pretty. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, now we need to add our wheel. So we'll go ahead and this I already layered on the black and the gray pieces, but it's just this main white piece and then a black circle and the gray circle. Pretty easy. And that can just glue right on top. And if you wanted to add some dimension, you could add a foam dot behind that. That's an idea for you. You could also do that on your watering can. If you wanted to add a little dimension, you could pop dot that off. That would be way cute. I'm just going to add a little adhesive to the top of that. And now I do want that to meet up at the bottom so that it helps my card stand up. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Make sure it's kind of going to stand up. Pull it down if it's not quite right. And this glue should dry clear. So if you have a little showing, it should be okay. Okay, so just make sure everything stands up nice. And then we'll add our wheels. We have these little wheels here. Just glue those in place. I've already put that center one on that center piece, so that one's already in place. And we are done with our main card. So our last little thing would be, if you want to sign your name, you could even do that before you attach this piece, but you have this cute little sentiment to put on the back, which I think Mom will really like. So there you go. Cute, cute, and all done. So just make sure when you open and close out that it doesn't catch a flower here or there. So this again is made without any extra supporting pieces, but if you wanted to make it sturdier, you certainly could with those extra, these two extra panels back there. Not totally necessary, but if you could also use it to change the color of the card if you wanted to put a different, like a wood panel or something on it. So we're going to move on to our next project. The other thing I did want to show you while we're here though, is that this will fit in a 5x7 envelope. So just go to Michael's and grab some 5x7 envelopes, and then your card will fit right inside and you can mail this. All right. The next project is our matching little watering can, which I love because you've got the little watering can on your card and you've also got the 3D one. So let's go ahead and lay our 3D watering can down here next to our, when we're assembling. Okay, gotta find my pieces. This one's pretty simple. It's just 4 sides to fold up. And then use your bone folder to get those nice and crisp. You've got 4 glue tabs. Just make sure you crease each of those really nicely. And you can use tape runner or liquid glue to glue those glue tabs down. I'm just going to go ahead and use some tape runner. And just pull those sides up and glue them right in place. And you have your basic box already made. Simple, simple. And then the handle and the spout, I am going to show you how to put those together because they're double layered, so that makes them just a little sturdier. So there's our basic box. And then here's all of our pieces for the watering can, flower, and the handle and the spout. So you're going to take your handle piece, which you've cut 2 of them, and just to make them a little more sturdy and to allow them to just be a little more stable on the box, you're going to have the glue tabs fold out in both directions. So you can see there's glue tab here and here and here and here. And the handle is double layered. Same thing with the spout. You got a glue tab here and here and a double layered spout. So go ahead and get your spout, 2 pieces oriented the same direction. And then you can fold those glue tabs out so you don't get any glue on them. And we'll just put glue on one side of that. And hold on one second. We'll just take those 2 layers and put them together. And you can see those glue tabs just meet together in the middle. We're just going to glue that right there on the front of the box. Okay, so just kind of rotate that box. You can see where you're going with it. And you can see that there's about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom to the bottom of this edge here. And just right in the middle, whoops. And then you might want to reach inside and just press down on those tabs. So that's how you put that little spout on. And we're going to do the same thing with the handle. Go ahead and fold those tabs. In 2 different directions, so that when you put them together, the tabs look like that. So then we're just going to glue the handle, the C area together. Okay, and now we just have those 2 glue tab areas to put some adhesive on and attach right to the side of that watering can. Okay, this time I don't want to smash the other side, so I'm going to try and hold it in the air while I do it. Just aim for right in the middle. Okay, and then just reach inside and give it a good press. And there you have your basic watering can. And we just need to put together this little flower bundle. So orient it the right way. Let's see, right here. So that's the way it's going to be oriented. So I'm going to start with it, the little flower down in the bottom left corner. This piece is going to go back in behind there. And then we have our main flower. Let's see, get it going the right way. Looks like right there. Notice how there's a little notch right here? That kind of goes down that direction. Let's see, I think so. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it does go over there. And then actually, I probably should have put the white one underneath, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and I'll slip it underneath there somehow. Oh, I'm going to make a mess of it. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay. And then put our blue flower on. And the nice thing about these are the yellow centers just all are cut through, so you don't have to add any centers to these. So makes it easy. Oh. Okay. And now we're just going to put our green vine on there. It's kind of poking up. Let's see, right over in here. And you don't have to be precise. It can just be however you want to put it together. You could even cut more vines if you wanted. Then just go ahead and put that right on the front of your watering can. So now you have your darling little watering can, and you can put a pretty good sized bag of treats inside of it to give to mom. So just to kind of wrap up, we've got our cute card, our cute little watering can, and we're ready to send those off to mom. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay, we're good. Okay. All right, you guys, I hope you had fun making these beautiful cards for Mother's Day, and hope you'll join us for some more classes here at the Silhouette headquarters. It's always fun to make paper crafting projects for your friends and family for the holidays, and they just appreciate it. And who better to appreciate your projects than your own mom? I actually, if you'll notice on my card, I forgot to put that Happy Mother's Day on. And so you could change that little sentiment out for any holiday. You could put happy birthday on there. You could put whatever you want on there. But since Mother's Day is right around the corner, it's the perfect little card. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have fun crafting. Hope you have fun using your Silhouette cutting machines, and feel free to come and ask questions or join along on my Facebook page, my Instagram, YouTube channel, or here on this video. So hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.